Here we have numismatic genesis, the first coin. It's not much, really, but all coins, from the ones you might have in your back pocket to the Roman or Greek pieces in your collection, they all descend from this pale yellow blob here. Let's have a quick look at the birth of coinage. Actually, before starting, this is a good opportunity to ask ourselves, why? Why coins? What is the difference between a blank disc of precious metal and an actual coin that makes it so much better at storing value and as a means of commerce? You see, metals were always very valuable. All the way back to the Bronze Age, international trade using gold, silver, or copper ingots was widespread. But when you trade using metals as a commodity, you have an issue which is essential to its nature, and that is the matter of trust. And to explain what I mean by trust, let me illustrate my point. We need to go back in time to the year 1750 BC. We go to the city of Ur, one of the very first urban centers ever. In this city, the first complaint letters were found. A series, in fact, of complaint letters were excavated from the city, all directed to a certain Ea Nasir, a Sumerian merchant who apparently sold very low-quality copper ingots to other Mesopotamian merchants. One of his letters says, "When you came, you said to me, 'I will give you high-quality copper ingots.' You left, but you did not do what you promised me. You put ingots of bad quality in front of my messenger and said, 'If you want to take them, take them. If you do not want to, then go away.'" This lovely piece of history lays bare to us the things that are necessary for commerce to occur. It's not only two people with things they want to exchange. In this case, let's say Ea Nasir was selling his copper ingots for small nuggets of gold, but also notice the transaction was being carried out throughout messengers. A commodity standard in the local level is not problematic. If you lived in the same village as Ea Nasir and he gave you bad copper ingots, you could go straight to his face and demand good copper. You could shame him in front of everyone or petition the local authorities for intervention. But we're talking about remote trade, and here's where the need for arbitrage takes place. That is, an agent responsible for establishing trust between two parties. And throughout human history, the main arbiter was the state. There is this fascinating book called Leviathan by Thomas Hobbes, where he analyzes the main functions of the state. And one of these functions was the establishment of standardized weights and measurements, with the aim of facilitating commerce and collaboration between people. If you knew, for example, that the city of Ur established the purity of its copper ingots to, let's say, 90%, and the other city from Al-Nasir's client established that gold was to be traded by ingots of 10 grams, you didn't have to take time establishing how pure was the copper or if the gold ingot was too light. The state authority established these standards, and you don't you dare to disrespect that system and these standards, otherwise the state will punish you. This greatly improved the efficiency of commerce because it made everything very straightforward. Maybe some of you might already be getting my point here, but let's go forward in time a little bit to the 7th century BC in the region of Western Anatolia, to the kingdom of Lydia. Due to their position between Asia and Europe, they were already very good in commerce, having major trade routes passing through them, but this was also a kingdom very rich in mineral deposits. The rivers of the region had plenty of a metal called electrum, an alloy of gold and silver, but the purity of the nuggets found were of varying purity, from 70% all the way to nearly pure gold. These nuggets were used in commerce for centuries, but they had the same problem I mentioned before. Trading your goods for a nugget of gold 70% pure, expecting it to be 90% pure, would mean a major loss, and waiting and checking the purity for every single nugget would make commerce just too slow. So the kings of the region had an idea. And this idea was to standardize. And with this standard, the first coin was born, establishing a purity of around 50% gold. The state would monopolize the issue of this new invention, put its credibility behind every coin, and profit from the issuing of coins. A standard weight was established with its corresponding coin, called a stater, and fractions would be struck for smaller transactions. So what I bring you today are 2 Lydian fractions. These were called hectes, worth 1/6 of a stater, weighing around 2 grams. On the obverse of this first piece we have, well, nothing. The first coins were blank on one side. When we head to the reverse, we see a typical feature of the earliest coins, an incuse punch. This was part of the standardization effort made by the Lydians. The punch was there to show that the coin was made out of pure precious metal all the way to its core, instead of a plated forgery. Unfortunately, this method didn't seem to work rather well because we know of a lot of plated fakes with incuse punches. And it's hard to make a distinction between these early coins and just some lump of precious metal from its appearance alone. But as we've seen in this video, this piece here incorporates everything that makes a coin a coin. It is of a certain weight and purity, eliminating the need for evaluating each particular nugget before a transaction, and it was backed by a state or an issuing authority, which worked as an arbiter for trust between people negotiating. This made this little blob here vastly superior to a random piece of metal as a store of value and a tool for transactions. This other coin we have here has some small differences. On the obverse, it now has this globular texture. Why this choice of design is not clearly known. Some argue this is one of the first attempts to add some sort of decoration or visual element to the obverse. Some say that this was actually a functional choice, as these coins were struck in some sort of support where these little indentations would help keep the hot flan in place while it was being struck. Others theorize this was yet another attempt to deter counterfeiting, as a more complex piece was harder to fake. No theory is really stronger than the other. And the reverse also has this nice little incuse punch, this time with a small division between the 2 square shapes. And there you have it. Next time you look at the coins in your collection, remember they descend from a tiny little pale yellow ball of metal from Eastern Anatolia. Coinage was a technology that revolutionized commerce and human interactions. Which is your oldest coin? Let us know in the comment section down below. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Leave a like and subscribe if you did. Happy collecting, and I'll see you soon.